This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin. Several organizations coming together today showing their support of those in need who are sometimes forgotten. Troy Washington is working for you to explain what sparked this effort.
Several groups came together to send a message that every Hoosier matters.
It's very clear that we're not going to stop feeding people. We're not going to stop reaching out to this community, and we're here to support them just like we would any other Hoosier.
With all that's going on, these two event organizers say right now is a time to make sure everyone is taken care of.
It's absolutely important to ensure the humanization of houseless folks. So often people roll up their windows and drive past them or look away as if they'll disappear, and that's not the way to heal community or help community, especially in food industry. We should always be thinking about what our food means to people and how to do that and how to go about that and how to love our communities that we're in.
They say their efforts don't always involve bells and whistles like today, but they are always trying to make sure those in need get what they need.
Food Not Bombs has been serving the community in this way for a long time. We independently as organizations have served food to the community at various times for a long time. Whether it's just like an informal day where we're like, let's make some sandwiches and take them downtown. We don't always like go this big to have like a full-on resource fair, but we're always around to make
what are oftentimes construed as like radical organizations, that the only action that the community sees from us is when we're protesting in the street. And there's so much more to what it means to work for your community. And I think in some cases it's glamorized as, you know, marching with a sign, but real community work is hard, and it is being out here on the street.
Working for you in downtown, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Troy, thank you. Tonight, clergy and community leaders from across the city are addressing the violence in Indianapolis. Their message, there needs to be a collective effort to reduce the violence. Leaders gathered today with their concerns as they say the city of Indianapolis is now on pace for over 200 homicides. Already this year, we've had at least 118 homicides. The goal of today's press conference is to put a call to action out to announce 5 initiatives that residents, neighborhoods, community stakeholders, IMPD, and faith groups can do to help slow down the violence.
Getting a gun, a knife, a weapon of any sort is not the means to solving any kind of conflict that you have. We are at 118 homicides. And you know what's sad? While we're 30% of the population, we're nearly 80% of the homicide victims.
Leaders say several of these initiatives have been used in the past during years that Indianapolis ended the year with less than 100 criminal homicides. Coming up tonight at 11, we will take a deeper look into the initiatives they hope to put into place. Leaders today say they are demanding a meeting with Mayor Joe Hogsett and are hoping to make that meeting happen tomorrow. Now to our continuing coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on Indiana. The state health department reports 4 more deaths. 2,567 Hoosiers have now died from the coronavirus. More than 51,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. More than 564,000 people have been tested in Indiana, with 9.1% testing positive. Meanwhile, there are disturbing new records being set across the country. The death toll from the coronavirus now surpassing 134,000 in the U.S. and more than 3.2 million Americans have had the virus so far. Hospitals in some states are at or nearing capacity. Here's ABC's Zoreen Shaw with the details.
As the number of coronavirus cases in the U.S. tops 3.2 million, a wave of upsetting records are being set. 17 states with record high number of cases, 15 with record high hospitalizations, and 7 with record number of deaths.
It feels as though that we're headed for a disaster.
Today, Florida reporting 15,300 new cases, a record one-day total for any state. Auditoriums and conference rooms at this South Florida hospital now being used to treat patients.
So we've just taken literally every inch of the facility and converted it into patient care areas.
42 hospitals across the state without available ICU beds. In Arizona, 89% of hospital ICUs are full. Phoenix's mayor telling CBS the state is struggling to meet the demand for testing.
We are seeing positivity rates above 20%. We are setting records of the type you don't want to set.
Doctors report 90% of COVID samples in Arizona have a mutation researchers believe makes the virus more infectious.
And this particular mutation allows it to infect human cells much easier.
Analysis shows the drug remdesivir increased the chances of survival in severe cases by 62%. The doctors have a limited supply.
Even though the supply of remdesivir is ramping up, we need to keep a lid on the number of patients that are being infected.
Admiral Brett Jouar, who has been tasked with coordinating the federal government's testing response, says we can expect the number of deaths to rise, but that the country is in a much better place with tests, PPE, and treatments.
This is not out of control, but it requires a lot of effort. You really got to stop the bars. You've got to decrease restaurant capacity. You've got to physically distance. We have to have people wearing a mask in public.
President Trump wearing a mask in public for the first time Saturday evening as he met with wounded service members and healthcare workers at Walter Reed Military Medical Center. The president has been urged to set an example by wearing a mask from some in his own party and had come under criticism from Democrats. The Biden campaign saying he was ignoring the advice of medical experts and politicizing wearing a mask. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Indianapolis Public Schools will host a virtual town hall Monday evening to discuss its back-to-school plan with families and community members. If you'd like to join, you must register for the Zoom event ahead of time, and space is limited to 5,000 participants. The meeting will also be live streamed on the IPS Facebook page. IPS Superintendent Alicia Johnson and school district leaders will be available for questions. Marion County Public Health Department Director Dr. Virginia Kane will also join in on the discussion. On Friday, IPS announced classes will resume in person and online on August 3rd. At school, students and teachers will have to wear masks. Students will get one free mask from their school and get mask breaks during the day. Families wanting to use the remote learning option should fill out an application by this Friday, July 17th. The Indiana Red Cross is calling on volunteers to help sew and distribute face masks and face coverings during the pandemic. In the last 6 to 7 weeks, they have already distributed 8,000 face coverings. But over the next 6 to 8 months, their goal is to have volunteers sew 5,000 masks that will then be distributed to child care, senior, and veteran care services throughout the state.
Everybody wants to help. We all want to make others' lives better, and this is really a really cool way to do that, because these face coverings are so important. In fact, they're so important that the mayor of Indianapolis says everybody's going to wear a face covering, and so they're really important. These face coverings really do help prevent the transmission of COVID-19, and so it's an important thing.
The Indiana Red Cross does not want people that cannot sew to be discouraged to help, because they say there are many steps to make this effort possible, including ironing, cutting out patterns, and disinfecting the face coverings and the packages. We do have a link right now on the RTV6 app with details on how you can get involved. A near South Side institution that warmed Indianapolis residents on cold days for decades is closing permanently. John's Famous Stew served carryout orders at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and then management announced they would close its doors temporarily. However, the news came this weekend in a Facebook post that John's Famous Stew will not reopen. The restaurant on Kentucky Avenue offered diners mild, medium, and hot stews, along with a variety of other menu items. Tonight, we are learning there is another effort underway to create a tiny house village here in central Indiana. The first tiny house is already in place at Camp Canby. It's a project by a Tiny Act of Kindness that aims to create a community of tiny homes for people experiencing homelessness. The project will focus on diverting people from experiencing chronic homelessness by intervening early and providing access to supportive services. The community will also help residents bridge the gap to stable, permanent housing. We visited the area today and talked to those working to make this project a reality.
The thing that really makes these villages work is the community that it provides. Most of the homeless who are chronically homeless that have been on the streets for 1 to 3 years are or more are really trying to figure out how to transition back into a living situation where they're not on the streets. And so that's what this is meant to be.
Tiny Act of Kindness is partnering with the Active Grace Group, the owners and operators of Camp Canby. Their goal is to build 25 to 30 tiny homes. Each home will cost around $2,500 and will be paid for through donations. Strong reaction to President Trump's sentence commutation for a longtime friend and ally. The decision even prompted a rare move from the man whose investigation put Roger Stone behind bars in the first place. Details coming up. Kyle.
It was a stormy Saturday across central Indiana. Things a lot calmer today, but we do have an isolated storm near the Kokomo area. I'll track those rain chances for the week ahead. You're watching RTV6 News at 6.
About living longer with Kisqali.
This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
President Trump's decision to commute the sentence of Roger Stone continues to draw intense criticism this weekend. Former special counsel Robert Mueller, in an op-ed for the Washington Post, writing Stone is still a convicted felon. Here's ABC's Alex Prochet with the details.
President Trump announcing late Friday that he has commuted the sentence of Roger Stone.
I'm very happy with what I did.
The president's decision coming just days before his longtime friend and former campaign advisor was set to begin his prison sentence.
He told me that he had decided to use his extraordinary powers of clemency to commute my sentence.
Stone was convicted in November of 7 felony counts brought against him by special counsel Robert Mueller, including lying to Congress, witness tampering, and obstructing the House investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. In a rare move, former special counsel Robert Mueller breaking his silence, penning an op-ed in the Washington Post defending his investigation of Stone, writing he remains a convicted felon and rightfully so, adding because his sentence has been commuted, he will not go to prison, but his conviction stands. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff criticizing Republicans for failing to defend the rule of law and standing up to the president.
Anyone who cares about the rule of law in this country is nauseated by the fact that the president has commuted the sentence of someone who willfully lied to Congress.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi telling CNN that the president's decision represents staggering corruption.
People should know this isn't just about lying to Congress. That means lying to the American people. Witness tampering and the rest, and it's about our national security.
Last week, Attorney General William Barr telling ABC's Pierre Thomas Stone's 40-month sentence was fair.
He was prosecuted while I was Attorney General. I think the prosecution was righteous.
But now Stone will not serve a single day of that prison sentence. Alex Prochet, ABC News, Washington.
And this weekend, Black political leaders raised their voices in search of change across Indiana. The event held at the State House focused on bringing change to racist policies and transforming policing. Leaders want to emphasize equality for all, amongst other topics they say are especially important with an election coming up.
Talking about being inclusive with our policies and racial justice, and how Black leaders right now are really pushing for more in our community, and how we do that as party leaders, but also just as Black people.
Well, we also have people out here that are registering individuals to vote, which is extremely important as we do have an election coming up.
Well, speakers included State Senator Eddie Melton and gubernatorial candidate Dr. Woody Myers. Now to your Storm Team 6 forecast. Meteorologist Kyle Mountain standing by. Kyle, what a nice Sunday.
Yeah, Nicole, yesterday turned into a couple rounds of thunderstorms here in central Indiana, but today enjoying a nice little breeze and quite a bit of blue sky. We do have one isolated downpour on Storm Team 6 radar for you. As we zoom in, you can see it's in eastern portions of Howard County. A little bit of lightning and some heavy rain. That's going to be about it. It's moving due south, so around Tipton, Elwood may get in on a little bit of rain here over about the next 45 minutes. Now, this is a pretty cool view. This is looking north out of downtown Indiana. Indianapolis, you see that tall cumulonimbus cloud on the right side of your screen? That's actually the downpour in eastern Howard County. You can get a pretty nice and distant view out there when you got just some isolated storms going on. It's 84 degrees in downtown. Humidity a little more manageable today. It's at 53% thanks to that north-northwest wind now, as we've had a front sliding through the area. Where we had some rain earlier in the day around Richmond, temperatures still in the upper 60s, 78 right now in Muncie. Most of the rest of central Indiana, though, coming in the lower to middle 80s. It's 85 in Bloomington. And as we look at the evening planning forecast, temperatures will gradually cool back into the middle 70s here by 10 o'clock, and those clouds will continue to decrease. Again, I think our rain chances very slim here as we go through the next couple of hours. Overnight, comfortable. It's going to be one of the more comfortable mornings that we have had the entire month of July here. We're actually going to see some locations dipping into the upper 50s, about 62 in Indy, 62 in the Columbus area, and even into tomorrow, the muggy meter, it stays in that comfortable range with that dew point only around 60 degrees or so. So you may want to actually take the work out to the patio tomorrow, and maybe you're eating lunch on the patio. You got temperatures at noon that'll be in the upper 70s. Lots of sunshine in the Monday forecast, and temperatures that will climb into the lower 80s. Very manageable and very seasonable here for the middle of July. 85 in the Bloomington area. 83 for you in Richmond and 86 in Columbus. Those temperatures getting a little bit warmer here as the week goes along. The 90s making a comeback as we get into our Wednesday. Here's a look at the 7-day planning forecast now. Things are going to be quiet Monday and Tuesday with quite a bit of sunshine. Then that daily chance of showers and thunderstorms does return. I think it's going to be late in the day on Wednesday. So that'll allow us to get back into the lower 90s. And then that'll hold those temperatures upper 80s, lower 90s through the end of the week. And we'll have that chance for more 90s. It looks like that heat's going to build back in here heading into next weekend. Stay with us. The News at 6 is going to be right back.
Are back at Hardee's. Feed your happy.
The Pacers and Fever are both in Florida as each of their leagues get ready for a summer start. The Fever say they're looking forward to regrouping and regaining some momentum. More now from Brad Brown in tonight's Sports Extra Spotlight.
With Bankers Life Fieldhouse under construction, the Fever were all set to play this summer at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
A lot of great things, I think, from the organization side. The coaching staff has been great with all the highs and lows and everything that we've been dealing with, as we all have been dealing with.
But like most everything else this spring, those plans never even got a chance.
Finally, I see the end. I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and so I'm excited.
The coronavirus detour will be sending the Fever and the entire WNBA to Bradenton, Florida. The prestigious IMG Academy will be the host campus for the revamped season.
I think we have a chance to be very good this year, and I also think we have an opportunity to get better each and every time we hit the floor. I think that will be really telling in terms of our overall success. How much can we improve from day to day, from game to game?
New head coach Marianne Stanley sees this as just another challenge in trying to bring the franchise back from the bottom.
Everybody has managed the curveballs and the changes really, really well. I mean, all of you have done so in your lives, and I'm sure you can appreciate how difficult this has been on players who were anxious to get started, quite some time ago.
The Fever's rookies and veteran additions have been working out in Indy the past couple of weeks. There is a lot of potential with each group.
We are a relatively young team. I mean, if you take that leadership off the top, we're a real young team. So I think the blend is nice. Okay, we're kind of getting the best of both worlds, but having most of the roster back from a year ago is significant.
The WNBA is dedicating its season to social justice initiatives. Fever players and staff have been active in the local Black Lives Matter movement, hoping to make an impact far beyond basketball this summer.
We've been really blessed. I feel really blessed to be in an organization that everybody supports us. And from our side, from the Pacers side, really making sure that our players' voices are heard. And so the next step is, really trying to figure out what it is that the players want to do. We understand that. We know it's going to be very unique, but I think it's really a big opportunity. It's an opportunity as a league. It's an opportunity for us to, do things that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do before.
Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
Big money at Menards.
We are hearing of more incidents involving people purposely coughing on strangers, and now some are wondering if that can be considered assault. Legal experts say there are certain things that need to be considered. During these times, there would be questions about whether the person coughing is aware they're infected with COVID-19. It will also need to be determined if that person is intentionally coughing on another. Lawyers say a lot still needs to be figured out about the coronavirus, but charges would likely be based on varying degrees of assault. Kyle.
A nice start to the week. Some sunshine for our Monday. Highs in the middle 80s. It looks like the 90s, and rain chances are going to return by Wednesday and stick around for the end of the week, Nicole.
All right, Kyle, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tonight at 11.